Hello and welcome to Top Deck. Today we are going to look at my picks for the top 10 best cards for Pioneer and Explorer. A couple of caveats before we start though. First, please keep in mind that I am not a pro player. Even though I totally called Egra and Scavenger's Talent starting a new kind of sacrifice combo deck, my guesses are likely to be wildly incorrect. Additionally, I was actually struggling to find any cards that I thought would be good in Pioneer in Duskmourn at all. This set seems very commander focused, and a great example of this is the Leyline cycle. Leyline cycles generally have one or two members that see serious competitive play. This cycle really doesn't have any competitive new additions. They all seem to really just be commander cards. The white one here would probably only slot into Selesnya Angels, and that deck already runs similar effects for cheaper. The green one's ability is literally only playable in commander. The red one might look good for pumping creatures, but if it isn't in your opening hand, it will be a card you will not be happy to draw. 4 mana is a lot in an aggro strategy, and there are better things you can be doing. Leyline of the Void is already legal in Pioneer, so I can't really include it in a top 10 new cards list, and the blue one does literally nothing in Pioneer. Like, what good does getting all of your creatures to be the same type do you? But yeah, this Leyline cycle pretty much just summarizes how I feel about the rest of the set, because the rest of the set just felt kind of the same way. Like, it would be good in Commander, but less good in Pioneer. But anyway, let's look at the honorable mentions. As an honorable mention, I put the Tale of Tamiyo. This card feels like someone wrote the Is It Phoenix game plan on a Magic card. Unfortunately, I seriously doubt it will be strong enough to see play in the deck, but I might try it anyway. I also put Fear of Missing Out as an honorable mention because I thought it was bold of WotC to turn their Secret Lair marketing strategy into a card. With those out of the way, let's start the actual top 10 list off at number 10. And we are starting off with a new room, Funeral Room and Awakening Hall. So if you don't know how rooms work, basically you can choose which half you want to spend mana on and unlock that effect on the battlefield. You can then spend mana on the other side to unlock the other effect. I am treating these mostly like level up enchantments because that is what they most closely resemble. I have this card at 10 mostly for the Funeral Room side. While Awakening Hall could win you the game if you cast it or unlock it later, most of the time you will only have Funeral Room mana. However, I am pretty sure the Awakening Hall pips will count towards Devotion even if you only play Funeral Room. I'm not sure about that. Please correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but that is something to keep in mind if you are building a Devotion deck. Anyway, Funeral Room's effect would feel right at home in a Cat Oven-style sacrifice deck where you can repeatedly trigger it. I think there are better incarnations of this effect already in the format, but this is probably still the 10th best card for Pioneer, in my opinion. At the number 9 spot, we have the only other room on the list with Defiled Crypt and Cadaver Lab. This feels like the only room that you might be able to play both halves of consistently in a competitive format. The Defiled Crypt side feels like it would be good in an Insidious Roots deck that wants to bounce things from the graveyard. The Cadaver Lab feels like a good effect for its cost in its own right, and it also contributes to the Defiled Crypt game plan if you play Crypt first. It seems serviceable, which might end up being better than the number 8 pick, Come Back Wrong. Come Back Wrong destroys a creature and lets you steal it for 1 turn if it would hit the graveyard. It is mostly for commander play, though, as a neat way to steal another player's commander. However, I can't shake the feeling that being able to get 2 death triggers for 1 card might be okay, and I'm sure someone clever will come up with a neat way to abuse the creature stealing that I'm not seeing right now. However, it is at sorcery speed, so it probably won't even be looked at by serious players. But I also tapped Fell as a top 10 card in Bloomburrow, so I guess I just have a thing for bad sorcery speed removal. Moving on to number 7, we have the first non-black card in the list in Enduring Innocence. Enduring Innocence rewards you with card draw whenever a small dude enters on your side of the battlefield. Additionally, it can act as just a free block sometimes, since it returns to the battlefield as an enchantment after death. Card draw is always good, and that's why I put it at 7, despite similar cards like Welcoming Vampire already existing in the format. Like I said, I really don't think this set is going to be great for Pioneer. And now, at number 6, we have Kona, Rescuing Beastie. This card is definitely more of a glass cannon or a meme card, but that won't stop people from trying to abuse it. The obvious uses are to cheat in Atraxa or Ulamog or whatever big thing you like best by tapping Kona. It doesn't even have to attack, by the way. It could be tapped via crew or saddle effects, as well as just some other generic tap your own stuff effect. Again, it probably won't see a lot of serious play, but trust me when I say people are going to try to make it work, especially on Arena. Real quick, before we move on to number 5, I would like to remind you to like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. I am honored by y'all because we hit my end of the year goal of 50 subscribers a full 3.5 months early. Thank you all so much for that. I appreciate y'all immensely. I was going to do something to celebrate getting to 50, but we accomplished the goal too quickly to plan anything. So, with a new goal of 100 subscribers, not necessarily by the end of the year, let's plan for something fun when we hit that. Right now I'm thinking of doing a Q&A video, but I am open to other suggestions if you got them. So if you have questions for the eventual Q&A or have suggestions for something better, please let me know in the comments. But with that, thank you all for just being awesome and helping this channel grow. Now let's get back into the top 5. So with number 5 onward, I actually feel like some of these cards might see some play in some capacity. The Wandering Rescuer, for example, might slot in as a 1 or 2 of in a Boros Convoke deck to act like a protection spell. I think the fact that it has Convoke also allows you to hide the card in your hand pretty well, since you won't even need to hold up mana. It's also a 3/4 with Double Strike, and that's pretty decent considering you can play this potentially as early as turn 2. So that's why it's at number 5. Speaking of cards that you can play on turn 2 in a Boros Convoke matchup, we have Pyroclasm at number 4. This card seems like it would be really good coming in from the sideboard against Boros Convoke, since it eliminates everything with 2 toughness or less. Additionally, since small creature aggro decks are on the rise in Pioneer, this card could be the go-to option for eliminating early pressure. This card could easily be a 3-for-1 or better when played on turn 2 or turn 3, and that is likely to be backbreaking in certain matchups. However, it won't be good against the number 3 pick, Unstoppable Slasher. Slasher has the makings of a very annoying card. It comes in for only 3 mana and has Death Touch. If it deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half their life, rounded up. That means this card will probably get blocked a lot. However, if that card dies when it's blocked, if it didn't have any counters on it, it comes back from the dead with 2 stun counters. It is self-recurring, meaning it will probably be a 2-for-1 all on its own. If you manage to remove the stun counters, it can come back over and over and over and over again. Just imagining this sounds like a pain in the rear end, so that's why I put it at the number 3 spot. At number 2, I put Screaming Nemesis. Nemesis is a hasty 3/3 for 3, and that's already pretty decent. I mean, it's okay, it's not bad. However, it also redirects any damage it receives to any target, and if that target is a player, it stops that player from gaining life. You could theoretically ping your own Nemesis, redirect it to your opponent, and stop them from gaining life. You don't lose any damage value whatsoever. Red player's dream right there. Additionally, in combat, its ability could make blocking really hard. It could trade with creatures with up to 6 toughness since it can hit any target with its ability. It also makes Planeswalker removal a tad easier since it can turn combat damage or creature targeting burn into straight up loyalty removal. All in all, this card has a strong case for being the best card in the set. So what's my pick for the best card for Pioneer and Explorer in Duskmourn? Well, it's actually 5 cards. For my top pick, I put this new cycle of lands that I've decided to call the Unlock land, since you can effectively unlock the other half, similar to the room mechanic. It's not a flashy pick for sure, but it is an untapped dual land cycle. I am sure the many shock lands, triomes, and just basic lands that you find in the format will make this land cycle very, very strong. I think the cycle's reasonable expectation of a floor is the slow lands from Innistrad, while its ceiling is just below that of a shock land. Lands of that power tend to be pretty good, so I feel good about putting them at number 1, but feel free to disagree with me in the comments. So that's about it for me. If you like the content, make sure to like and subscribe. If you think I missed a card, please let me know in the comments. And make sure you support your local game store by attending your pre-release this weekend. That's about it for me. Have a great day, everyone. See you around.